you are recognized by the Trenton City Council. That would be during public portion for public comment on docket items only. Thank you very much. And Council President, we are ready to begin.
All righty. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is being called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, pursuant to Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. This agenda is complete to the extent known and was sent to the Trenton Times and the Trentonian newspapers, posted on the first floor bulletin board in the City Hall, filed in the City Clerk's office, and posted on the City of Trenton's website. Formal action will be taken. Roll call, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Blakely. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Harrison.
Present.
Mr. Michelle.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Vaughn. Council President McBride.
Present.
Council President, quorum is formed. 2 members are absent. Now call the department directors. Mr. Cruz.
Good evening, President.
Good evening, sir. Mr. Cherry.
Present. Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Bridges, and I believe Ms. Murray is here as well.
Present. Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir. Director Coley. Chief Mazio.
Good evening, Present.
Director Delisle is out. I believe
I am present.
You are present. You are a hero, sir. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
I'm fine, thank you.
Dr. Lopez is going to be out, but she said that Ms. Graffy Cooper was going to be here.
I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Director Onatieri. Director Richardson.
Good evening, everyone. Present.
Good evening, ma'am. Director Lavenberg.
Good evening, Present.
Acting Director Zielinski.
Present.
Director Zielinski.
Present.
Council President, the roll has been called. Would you like me to proceed?
Yes. Yes.
First up on the docket will be communications and petitions. There will be no minutes for approval at this meeting. We will have them for the next meeting. Communications and petitions, there will be 21 items for approval there. There will be 2 reports from the clerk's office, one for the financial report for February, and the other is for a 50-50 raffle. There is 1 second reading public hearing for bond ordinance 21-06, a bond ordinance providing for the purchase and installation of a new boiler system at the Hedgepest-Williams School on behalf of the Trenton Board of Education for the City of Trenton and the County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, appropriating $361,774.32 from various bond ordinances to finance the part of the cost thereof. That, of course, will be by roll call resolution. The first resolution on the docket is from the Department of Administration, Adam Cruz. This resolution will relate to an executive session that is being held on Thursday. This is Resolution 21-049, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a civil suit settlement in the matter of Ravina L. Giddens versus the City of Trenton in the amount of $15,000. Madam, that would be roll called. The next resolution would be from the Department of Police, Director Sheila Coley. And this is Resolution 21-091, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the Summer Expansion Program number J-J:6-18-17 for $7,446 from the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Office of the Attorney General. How would you like to proceed, ma'am?
Yes, if there's no questions from the body, then we could have it as part of the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-092, a resolution for the acceptance of a memorandum of understanding between the United States Department of Justice, United States Marshal Service, and the City of Trenton, New Jersey Police Department to provide funding for the Regional Fugitive Task Force.
If there's no questions from the body, then we can add it to consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll just look back one time real quick. Mr. Blakely, have you arrived? Ms. Vaughn, have you arrived? Just checking. Department of Finance, Ron Zielinski, Acting Director. Next is Resolution 21-077, a resolution certifying that the City Council of the City of Trenton reviewed the corrective action plan for the city's fiscal year 2020 audit.
If no one have any questions, we'll add it to the consent.
I have a question. For Mr. Cruz. I have reviewed it, Mr. Cruz, but I also reviewed prior audits, and it seems that we have never changed our habits. We haven't made any adjustments to anything that was recommended.
Madam Vice President, would you like for me to respond?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So, Madam President, thank you.
Yes, there it is.
Look, yes. Madam Vice President, when these audits are done, the department is not privy to what their findings are until the report is actually issued. And it's not issued to the business administrator, it's actually issued to the director of finance. So when the report comes, we don't know what it is that they found. There has, as you asserted, there are items that are repetitive from the previous years. Documentation is provided to the auditor as to what actions were taken to resolve these issues. And I can say from the stand of the administration when it comes to some personnel items that are found in this audit, we have provided this audit company time and time again the documentation that reflects otherwise as to their findings. But because they don't talk to us once the findings are done, they don't tell us whether they're being incorporated moving forward or if the items presented to them have been corrected. One of the items specifically is where they feel that the individual's personnel file should also have the payroll documentation. That means that the city will have to continuously grow a file, for example, for me, Adam Cruz, and every other week, the document where the document for payroll should be added to the file, and on and on and on, and I don't know honestly why that was not the case in the other municipalities that I worked on. And so it's actually mind-blowing for this audit company to be requesting that. We will never have enough space for all of the files in the city, for all of the employees, if we continue to add bi-weekly data sheets for their time. And that's something that they're saying must be in there. We're telling them, no, the departments have it. And if you need it, you can get it from the departments. It's not that they don't exist. They do exist. But their issue is they want to see it in the same personnel file that contains your application and all of that stuff. And, that.
So, Mr. Cruz,
yes,
I understand all of that, but when I also read the responses from the city regarding the corrective action plan, and it all pretty much said you're going to be doing this. And that's what I see every year.
Yes.
But I've never seen a personnel handbook. I've never had an explanation as to the corrective action taken in the fiscal department and the water company. I don't know.
Yes, Madam Vice President, we can definitely have a sit down with you and provide you the documents that are used once these audits are performed. What you're seeing now is the corrective action plan, but I will be more than glad to meet with you and anyone else from this council who wishes to sit down and actually review the documents or the changes that are done when the corrections are taken, are implemented.
Yeah, I understand this resolution is just to say that we reviewed it, which I did.
Yes,
But
yes.
my concern is that I don't see anything being done to correct the issues. So I would like to sit down with you and go over that. Yes.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, so, Councilwoman, if you haven't seen any of the corrective action plans put in place, did you want to roll call it or you wanted to?
No, because this is, I did look at the corrective action plan, so I could, you don't have to roll call it. Yeah.
Alrighty, Mr. Collin, it can be a part of the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-093, a resolution authorizing emergency utility appropriations for the state fiscal year 2021 temporary budgets of the City of Trenton.
If there's no one from the council that would like to speak to this, we may make it a part of the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 21-094, a resolution adopting a cash management plan for the deposit and investment of public funds of the City of Trenton.
I would like to roll call this one.
Yes, ma'am. Next, from the Department of Housing and Economic Development, Benjamin Delisle, Director. We have Resolution 21-095, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to PARS Environmental, a Montrose Group company, to conduct environmental remediation of LNAPL in soil and groundwater at Federated Metals site on 300 Enterprise Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $268,398.95 through bid 2020-84.
I would like to.
Council President, I have a question on this.
Yes,
Mr. Cruz, I have a question
Yes,
for you on
yes,
this.
Madam Vice President, yes.
So this is on Enterprise Avenue. There's a lot of pollution down there, but it's not caused by the city. I think it's caused by that metalworks. Did they sell that place or what?
Madam Vice President, I think this is something that Mr. Delisle can answer better than I can.
Okay.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes, Council President. I'm not sure about the sale of the property that the Vice President is referring to. I do know.
But why I was concerned as to why we're paying to clean up the Federated Metal site.
Well, Councilwoman, because it's a city-owned property, so although we are not legally liable for cleaning up because we're a city and we didn't operate at the site, it is a property that the city owns, and we have done investigations. We have grant funds to do the cleanup, and that'll better position the property for redevelopment.
Are you telling me that the Federated Metal site, is that where the metalworks is down there?
No, not where the current operation is, no.
Well,
No,
so where exactly is this?
I believe it's a triangular property. I want to say it's about an acre. It's 300 Enterprise Avenue. I think it's across the street. I think it's across the street from that
I thought that was already cleaned up. Isn't that the property that someone has been approved to be the contractor?
No, that's not
developer.
If you're referring to the Curio property, no, it's not that one.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, we do own a couple. I think it may be adjacent to that or very close to it. But again, this is there's groundwater contamination. I think this particular contamination of this project is for petroleum. LNAPL is light non-aqueous phase liquids.
Is that coming from the metalworks? Is that pollution coming from Trenton Metal?
No, it's from pollution or contamination that emanated from the site itself, from prior operations many years ago. And again, we received brownfield cleanup grants, to do investigation, and then for this cleanup, where we have this particular project, 179,000 of it is being paid for from grants. And then we have some matching funds. But again, this is city-owned property that we're looking to clean up and, be in a better position to convey it to a developer in the future.
Oh, so the 179,530 is from a grant cleanup, and then there's a grant match that we have to pay?
Correct.
So, but see, the way this resolution is written, it looks like the bid is 268,398.95. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the total amount. That's the total amount of the work. But if you look at the third whereas, where it says the funds,
Okay.
the G account, that's a grant account,
Okay.
179,000, and the C account is capital.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Delisle.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Conlon, a roll call for this one, please.
Yes, ma'am. I've already marked it as such. Would you like to proceed?
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 21-096, a resolution authorizing change orders 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to the contract with Scazzari Builders, Inc. for bid 2020-47 renovation of the North Clinton Recreation Center, 454 North Clinton Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey, in an amount of $50,422.71.
So, Mr. Collin, I would just like to point something out to the Director of Housing and Economic Development. This contract for this 096 and the one coming up, I'll speak to them both at the same time. Well, I'll just wait to speak to the next one. So this particular contract was awarded in October. There is no way that Scazzari should be coming back to us for a change order in less than 6 months. So, when you allow companies like Scazzari and Levy and any of the contractors that win bids from us to place a bid for a job and then 5 months later come back with a change order, it is my opinion that they are underbidding these projects, and we have talked about this time and time again. You cannot bid on a project and 5 months later come to us for a change order. It should not occur. And so I will not be voting for a contractor that I feel has misrepresented his bid when he should have bidded for that project accordingly. And I don't want to hear anything about, when they got in there, because they had the ability to look at the scope of the work, to actually meet with the procurement officer and actually find out all of the details, walk through the site and the whole nine before they place their bid. And so to me, they're underbidding the projects, and then they're adding in change orders. And I just don't feel as though it should be granted. So that's my statement to you, Mr. Delisle. 5 months in, you come for a change order. You should have bidded the proper bid for the site and not try to underbid to get the contract. Thank you.
Mr. Conlon, this is Councilman Blakely.
Yes, sir. I'll mark you as here, sir. Thank you.
Council President.
Mr. Collin, Councilwoman Vaughn is on the line.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'll mark you as present as well.
Councilwoman Wilson, go ahead.
No, I didn't.
All right.
Yeah.
All righty. So this one needs a roll call.
Council President, is Councilwoman Vaughn?
Yes, go right ahead.
I wanted to roll call 21094 and 21095. Did we discuss those? I'm sorry, I arrived late.
Yes, we did. and 21094 is being roll called.
Okay, very good.
So
As
is,
is 9-5.
yes, ma'am, so is 9-5.
Okay, thanks.
You're very welcome, ma'am. Madam President, would you like me to proceed?
Yes, go right ahead.
Madam President, I have a question on this, 096. Are these change orders, are they going to be paid by CDBG funds or capital funds?
Council President, this is Director Delisle. If I could respond?
Yes, go right ahead.
Councilman Rodriguez, thank you for the question. These funds are fully being paid by the CDBG grant accounts. The first one accounts for about 6.7% change order. And just want to note that it was due to unforeseen conditions. This was during the demolition activities. We found that were not apparent during the bidding because there were walls in place and ceilings that were intact, that when the walls were removed or the ceilings were removed, found deficiencies, rotten wood, improper wiring, structural deficiencies, and that is the reason for these change orders. It was work that was unknown at the time of the bidding, and that's what the architect has determined, that the change orders were reasonable.
And this documentation you're referring to is in the package here or in the background information?
Yes. I believe copies of the change orders were provided. If not, I'd be happy to get those to you.
Because it'd be good if we could get that background information to figure out what are they claiming exactly,
Yeah, certainly, Councilman. This was vetted by my staff and by the architect who's been providing oversight during the construction activities.
Okay.
Council President?
Yes, go right ahead.
I'm sorry, again, due to my lateness, I may have missed it, but did we review the section communications and petitions?
Yes, we're on 21096 now, Councilwoman.
I know, but I just wanted to
We're
see.
discussing that.
Okay, but can you yield the floor to me for the question on the communication?
No, we're going to continue, and then you can take that up with part of your before we close out the docket.
Okay, very well.
21097 is where we were. Did anyone have anything that they wanted to add to speak to on 21-097?
Would you like me to read it into the record, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
This is Resolution 21-097, a resolution authorizing change orders 1 and 2 to the contract with Levy Construction Company, Inc. for bid 2020-49, renovation of the Reading Senior Recreation Center at 15 Ringgold Street, Trenton, New Jersey, in an amount of $12,579.22.
So I was, when I spoke to 21-096, I also mentioned 21-097 and their change order, and I had the same sentiment about their change order being 5 months into the contract, and they come back for a change order. I have a problem with that, and I also don't care if it is CDBG grant funding, because those funds could go elsewhere in other projects that we have that we planned on doing. And I just believe that when construction companies or these contractors bid on these projects, they should have a thorough have the scope of the work in front of them and know exactly what the job entails. And when they underbid a job, they should not be allowed to come back with a change order. And so for that, I would like to have this one roll call too.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anything else from the floor?
We may move on to Department of the next.
Yes, ma'am. Next is Department of Public Works, Wahib Anatiri, Director. First is Resolution 21-098, a resolution authorizing payment for a contract with Yaros Landscapes, 359 Princeton Avenue, Hamilton, New Jersey, 08619, which is awarded on an emergency basis for snow plowing services for the Department of Public Works Division of Streets in an amount not to exceed $152,848.08.
Council President,
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
is Mr. Onateri on the call?
Yes, I'm right here. Good evening.
So, why is this being awarded on an emergency basis?
We have,
I just want to be clear, snow plowing, right?
Yes.
This is not an emergency. I don't understand. Well, proceed to explain.
Okay. Good evening, Council. The reason why this happened was we have a resolution to award the contract, to put the contract out, which we had a bid, and we have a contractor that won that bid. But in the process of where we're going through the process, we had this snow emergency suddenly happen. So we had to call the guy that won the bid to get out there to help us out. That was why we have this situation.
Okay. Well, snow, the weather storms are not an emergency though, right? Again, we've been given guidance by DCA on what an emergency is. So we have gotten clear indication in advance from various weather services that there's going to be a snowstorm, right? And you know that because you have been very good, your department have been very good at preparing for the roads in advance. So an emergency is something that happens, totally anticipated without warning. So this really concerns me that a snow plowing, landscaping pretty much contract was given out to someone without going through the fair and open process, and then we categorize it and we process it as an emergency contract. So this is way beyond concerning. Again, our weather services in each snowstorm, I believe the city of Trenton, even the mayor, has, put out advanced communication anticipating of such storms. I don't think there was any basis for awarding such a large contract of $152,000 to a landscaping company to plow. So what did they plow? If you might, what parking lots, streets, roads? Which? Can you give us the details?
Yes, Councilwoman. Let me repeat myself again, ma'am, if you don't mind. Again, we were already in the process of awarding this contract before the snow came suddenly, and that snow that came 3 days in a row was beyond our ability to take care of the whole city by ourselves. So I have no choice but to call this guy who has no plan because we don't have a contract on yet. So that's what constitutes the emergency, because we had no plan. The snow came suddenly. We were not told. We know snow is coming, but we didn't know it was going to have that magnitude. We're going to get it that way. That's why we have that. And you asked me where it was the streets, the roads. We have the contractor focused on the North Trenton and the East Trenton area, and we focus on the West and the South. And that was why we were able to get this thing accomplished with this contractor.
Yeah, again, I'm going to have this roll call, but it's very concerning that despite of the climate change, and we know across the world that when we get storms, they are more severe, and the fact that you're saying that the city of Trenton did not have a plan. And, that is even more concerning that we're doing emergency contracts and we don't have a plan and we're not anticipating these type of storms when I believe the world has been put on alert about the impact of climate change and the level of severity of storms going forward. Council President, can we please roll call this? Thank you, Mr. Onacheri.
Excuse me, Councilwoman. If I may, I just wanted to let you know, put it on record, we do have a plan. And for the past 3 years, we've never had this snow we had now, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 years. So we have our plan, and we still have the plan in place today for the snow. Unfortunately, the contract was still going through the process when this snow hit suddenly. Then we have to find a solution, because if we don't do what we did, it would have been a mess in this city. Thank you. Okay. And I hope you really see it and understand what I'm coming from. If you see the second one that Mr. Cullen is going to read out to you, then you will see that is what the contract is.
No, all right, but again, our plan is not sufficient, right? Because you have to anticipate the severity of the storm. And I know the weather services have been very good at these predictions and forecasts. So, okay, let's go on, but just roll call this. Let's move on. Thank you.
Excuse me, Councilwoman. So, Mr. Onacheri?
Yes, ma'am.
So, the 21-098, you have it down as an emergency, which I don't believe that it should be classified as an emergency, because in the prior years, we have had contracts come before us in August and September. I believe the Capital City One had a contract with us for snow removal, and I'm just looking at both the 21-098 and the 21-099, and I'm seeing that both of these contracts equal up to $312,000, $848 and $48. The problem is that our contracts for the winter season should begin in August or September, and there should be a contractor in place to deal with this so that the council would have the opportunity to vote on this before we actually have to use them. But the second thing is, during the budget, Mr. Onacheri, you stated that most of our overtime was due to the snow removal using the sanitation trucks, and that the sanitation trucks had to be used. The reason that we were almost looking at millions of dollars from your department was based on that snow removal. And when you go through the city and then you see none of the side streets are plowed, and then you see a $312,000 contract for the same company, one as an emergency, the other one is for hauling the snow away, and then you hit us again in the overtime department. And I believe your overtime in your departments for this snow removal well exceeded $3 million. So my concern is that you can't have it both ways. You cannot tax us for over $3 million worth of overtime for snow removal and then tell me that you hired independent plowers in the tune of $312,848. It just doesn't sit well with me. And so, again, I will be asking for a roll call for both. I agree with the roll call for 098.
Excuse me, Council President.
Council President, if I may.
Please, if I may. Council President, I need to correct something you said.
Councilwoman Caldwell Wilson.
Yes, Mr. Onacheri, I'm trying to get this straight in my mind.
Yes.
So when you did the emergency contract for the snow removal, at that time the bids were out, so you couldn't award the contract. So you had to do it on an emergency basis.
Yes,
is that correct? And so now 099 is the actual contract for the upcoming season, but why are we doing a snow removal contract in March?
If I may, Council Vice President.
No. It didn't say for the upcoming season, Councilwoman. It said for snow plowing and snow removal hauling services for 6 months with an option to extend 2 additional 6-month period as.
May I explain to you?
That's why I'm asking why we're awarding this contract in March.
If I may, Council President and Vice President. Please, first of all, the 099, Council President, is the original contract that was supposed to come before you, that was shoveling around, to good places before it finally get to you. In the process of doing this, coming to you, the 160,000 was the real amount. So it's not together. It's not plus 152,000. No, it's not. It's the 160,000 is the real contract money. The reason why the 152 shows up is we are deducting this 152 from the 160 once you approve this. That is what that is. That is why.
That's not what.
Okay, Mr. Onatara, so why are we doing 2 resolutions?
Yeah, because what happened?
We're going to award 160,000 to this company. So why did we need to do 2 resolutions?
The 160,000 is not going to the company. The 160,000 is there in case we need to use all that money. Before, unfortunately, we had snow before we were able to finish the process going through the council. And the 152,000 happened in the process. So I'm just trying to get these people paid to let you know I'm going to be taking this money from the 160. And so
that 21,099 should only be for $7,152 if you're subtracting the 152 from the 160,000. But this is 2 separate contracts totaling up to $12,848, Mr. Onatari.
Council President, I'm telling you that the 160,000 was, I don't know why both of them came to you at the same time, but we're in a hurry to pay this guy their money. The $160,000 that came to you was the original contract for this guy. And out of that is where the 152 is coming out of.
But then it should be 2 contracts. It should, this 160,000 should only be for $7,152 remaining out of that.
No, ma'am. No, Mr. President. It can't be, because if you read what you said in there, you said we're going to have, if we need to, extend it twice again. We can't extend $7,000. It's the 160 if we need to for next year or year after. That is what the purpose of that is. Again, you mentioned that overtime for solid waste. Yes, we did, because even though we have these contractors come in, they don't help us spray salt in the city. We did.
Yeah, Mr. Onatari, look, the 099 is awarding the contract from February 21 to June 21.
Yes, ma'am.
You're saying these people have to get paid because we called them out on an emergency basis. Why isn't that in one resolution?
Well, the purpose of the 099 is to show you that this is the money contract that we are awarding out for snow. And unfortunately, again, we had that emergency. Again, I'm saying that the money is going to be coming out of that account. I cannot put $70,000.
I understand that, but it's like the council president said, we have 2 resolutions, both for one for 152.84 and one for 160.
The 160, ma'am, I'm sorry. I just want to get this clear. The 160 is not going to Yarrow Landscaping. The 160 was, if we didn't have the emergency snow thing, that 152,000 will not have been in question. But because we had it, that's why it came out there, just to show you that I'm going to be paying this guy from this account that you are going to approve for me to award the contract. Because
but
we had
you're not hearing us, Mr. Onatari.
I did.
2 resolutions for the same contracting company for 2 different amounts. If you're saying that they only spent what, 152, they got paid, they're going to get, what are they going to get paid?
From the 160?
Yeah.
So let me ask someone in the law department if you can help us out with this, because this is very confusing.
I'm looking at, Acting Director Bridges here. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm looking at 198 and 199, and I think I'm looking for the same clarification. So, Mr. Alteri, are you saying that the 152,848 is being subtracted from the 160?
That's correct, because the 160 was the original thing that was supposed to come before the council. Unfortunately, we had that emergency that we have to pay this guy. That's why it seems, and this could, the 099 should have been before you, but it was going all over the place. So by the time it gets to you, it happens that both of them came before you.
So I guess to council's question, does it make sense to either revise this to combine these into one to flesh that issue out, or in the alternative revise the 21-099 to reflect the balance that's remaining of that 160?
Thank you.
Exactly, which is $7,152.
I'm asking because I'm looking for clarity. Is that correct, Mr. Alteri?
If we put the $7,000 there for the 099, if you look at that, it says option to extend 2 additional 6 months period on an as-needed basis. Then all I will have in that account for the way you're saying it is $7,000. If I spend the 152 now from the 160, I can always come before you and say, look, I'm short in my snow money.
Mr. Alteri, I'm not understanding you because you're still saying you want both of them. And so, I mean, I don't understand this. If they're going to get paid based on this emergency, why are we going to pay them again?
Madam President, if I may,
if it's coming out of the 160,000, why are you paying them again?
I think Mr. Cruz may have some clarification on this, Council President.
The only that Mr. Cruz could chime in, but what I would like to see done with the 21099 is this: for Mr. Onateri to have this amended by Thursday for the $152,848.08 to come out of the $160,000, and then in the next council meeting, if he needs to put up a resolution to have emergency money, which I believe that we should have some of our emergency snow removal money back into the trust, then he should be putting up a resolution to reflect upcoming for emergency monies to be in a resolution. But the way that this is written is not saying that the 152 is coming out of the 160, and is asking for a 6 months extension. And so because we're basically going to be running out of the winter months, then I'm thinking that maybe even if we had snow tomorrow, Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I'm thinking that maybe this needs to be rewritten to reflect a different amount rather than $160,000. That's my assessment of it. But Mr. Cruz,
if it pleases the council, I would be happy to meet with Mr. Onateri tomorrow and make any revisions just for clarification purposes and get a better understanding as to the process, if that's okay with council.
If we could get it before Thursday with the amendments, it would be great.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Madam President, that was actually going to be my suggestion. I believe we can combine both of them into one and present one to council on Thursday.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll be looking for an amendment or a complete different resolution to combine.
Yes, I will jump on that first thing in the morning, and I will converse with the clerk to get any needed revisions, clarifications with respect to that, Council President.
All right. Mr. Conley?
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have resolution 20, if we're done with 21-98, and I believe that also takes care of 21-99 for the purposes of they're both going to be edited, but I would like to just read that one into the record real quick, if you don't, with your indulgence, Council President.
Yes, definitely.
21-099, a resolution accepting bids and awarding a contract to Yaros Landscapes for snow plowing and snow removal hauling services for 6 months with an option to extend 2 additional 6-month periods on an as-needed basis to complement the division of street fleet during snow events with large accumulations in an amount not to exceed $160,000 through bid 2020-86. And as noted, both 21-098 and 99 are going to be re-edited for Thursday's meeting. I will have that to council as soon as I receive it from Mr. Onatieri and the Law Department. Would you like me to proceed to the next one, Council President?
Please.
Next, we have a resolution for the Department of Water and Sewer, Mark Lavenberg, the Director. Resolution 21-100, a resolution authorizing an amendment to Resolution 21-040 awarded to Spinelli Companies for lead service replacement Phase 2B, Hamilton Township, for approximately 1,200 addresses in an amount not to exceed $8,440,300 through bid 2020-82.
Council President?
Go right ahead, Councilwoman Vaughn.
Is Director Lavenberg available?
Present.
Yes. Here's another contract. Contractor, Spinelli Owned Companies. Over the past year and a half, I believe if we were to approve this particular resolution, and again, I have no problem helping to fund the lead line replacement, the lead service line replacement project. But I just think that with an additional $8.4 million, this particular contractor would have been awarded approximately contracts totaling $33 million within the year and a half, right? Less than a year. 33 million, right?
Is that a question, Council?
Yes. 33 million. And I just
Councilwoman, that's not an affirmative, Councilwoman. That's not an affirmative. If I may speak?
Yeah, okay.
And I think that would help us both if I had a moment to speak.
Yeah,
this is an amendment to the resolution that was previously passed. After it was passed, in advance before it was passed, we recognized that there was an addition problem on the bid specification form. CDM Smith and the Water Department notified the administration that there was an adding error, and in the case of this one, the mistake was $22,010 in excess. So this is an amendment to reduce the original contract that was approved by $22,010. In addition to that, there was a mathematical error on the amount of services going in. It was incorrectly on the amendment at 1,075, where the correct amount is 1,200 services, and it's 1,200 services on the 3 contracts. So this is not an additional contract. This is just a correction and an amendment to the original resolution that was passed.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that clarity.
Right.
Because I still would like it roll call because I've been keeping track of these contracts and I want to make sure that my numbers add up too. But for some reason, my computer, I can't find my spreadsheet. But so for
Councilwoman, Resolution 21040 was the original contract.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to have this roll call, and then we'll go from there. But I just want to have the time between now and Thursday to reconcile my spreadsheet. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am. Next is everybody done with 21-100? Good enough. Next, we have Department of Health and Human Services, Dr. Lopez, Acting Director, 21-101, a resolution to apply and accept $28,287 in grant funds from the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, Mercer County Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Addiction for Trenton Municipal Alliance to provide community drug, alcohol, and tobacco program.
If there's no questions, then we may add it to the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am, and that is done, and that actually is it for the docket. Would you like to move to public portion, ma'am?
No, Council President, you said that
Oh,
I
yes.
could ask.
Yes,
That is correct.
Councilwoman wants to go back over to the
Communications and petitions.
communications and petitions.
Yes, ma'am, there are 21 communications and petitions that will be on the docket for Thursday for approval.
Yes. My question, I'm seeking clarity from the law department. Mr. Bridges, are you on the line?
I am, Councilwoman. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for joining us. 2K, the tort claim notice, personal injury, and other damages filed by William A. Watson, 132 Sanhegan Drive, Trenton, New Jersey, against the city of Trenton. Can you explain to us what's the difference between a tort claim and a lawsuit?
A tort claim, depending upon the venue that you are bringing a claim and also depending upon the statute that you're bringing a claim, the tort claim notice is a requirement to give a governmental entity such as the city of Trenton notice of a anticipated lawsuit, to give them enough time to investigate it, ascertain what the allegations are, and to the extent it could be addressed, they can address it. So there's a time period within which the event occurs that you must file the tort claim to preserve your any litigation that the plaintiff could envision. And then upon the filing of the tort claim notice, there's a time period within which to file a complaint. At that point in time, that's when the lawsuit begins. So it's really a precursor to an anticipated complaint.
Okay.
It's the first step in filing a complaint, and if you're going, in particular, if you're going to federal court, again, it really depends on the statute. It depends on the allegations in the complaint. Having reviewed the tort claim notice, it's difficult at this juncture to really ascertain the specific allegations or the specific statute or regulation that is being relied upon here. But again, it's just a shot across the bow to say, hey, we're getting ready to sue you, and here's the first step procedurally under the state statute that we're taking to sue a governmental entity.
Yeah. So I have another question for clarity. I thought tort claims are, it says personal injury, and for some reason, I've always thought that these are to settle claims monetarily for, physical injuries, like, workers' compensation, or, I'm looking across the whole docket here, the section, and most of the tort claims are related to, physical injuries.
Yeah, typically. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah,
no, typically that's what we see more often than not on the docket, tort claim notice relating to personal injuries. But the details of the tort claim notice that we received was in fact a tort. When you're talking about the allegations that are made in there, it's specific as to not only entity, but in this instance, individuals who are saying a tort was committed upon them. In this instance, potentially defamation of character, defamation of business reputation. So that does fall in the line of acceptable torts, where a torts claim notice would be applicable prior to bringing a litigation for that.
Okay, so is there a time frame when these individual, the name I see on here is William A. Watson, when are they going to file? When are they going to file this claim? I mean, when are they going to file the lawsuit? Did you get any indication of when they're going to file this lawsuit against
I have
the city?
I have no indication when they're going to file a lawsuit. I do not have the torts claim in front of me. There is a specific time period within which they have to file a complaint after they file a torts claim. They have to file a complaint within a certain amount of days. I'll identify a specific date and send that to you, but we don't have a date certain that we're going to get the complaint. It's starting the clock to tick for them to file the complaint. The specific date, I apologize, I can't give it to you now, but when I look at the date of the notice and when we actually received it, I'll be able to tell you a date certain that if a complaint is not filed by that date, then they're going to be, then the potential plaintiffs will be barred from bringing any complaints because they have failed to bring their complaint timely pursuant to the tort claim notice statute.
Yes. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on this and see where this individual and what they're claiming. And then I would expect the law department to deal with them accordingly.
Absolutely, and like I said, it's not a very heavy lift. I'll be able to send you an email probably before this meeting's over, give you a date certain. When I get off questioning, I'll look at the date of it and give you the actual date by which the complaint must be filed, or it will be barred as untimely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
All righty. So, Mr. Conlon, we may.
You can speak to any item on the docket. Accordingly, and please remain muted. There is one other thing. Please observe the rules of decorum, and please do not yell into the microphone because it actually distorts the recording and it messes up the tape a little bit. So low voices actually are good for the tape. We appreciate your compliance. And does anybody wish to speak on any docket items? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second call for members of the public to speak on docket items for tonight's meeting. Council President, we have Mr. Michael Rinaldo.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Rinaldo.
Thank you for the recognition and the opportunity to speak. I'll make this very brief. Councilwoman Vaughn had mentioned the issue with the parking authority and the tort claim that was filed. I hope the city takes this very seriously because after reading everything that's been in the paper and everything that I've seen, it just seems like it really warrants a very close look, and I would hope that it gets the attention that it deserves. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to be recognized for tonight's public portion for docket items only? If you are on a telephone, please speak out. Council President, next we have Ms. Sherry Garrett.
Go right ahead, Ms. Garrett.
Thank you, Council President McBride. I just want to probably reiterate some of the comments that council persons have had on some of these resolutions. 2106, I did mention a couple of times that the boiler was put into a multiple for the last bond. The resolution for the bond for the school had a multiple things, and this was in it. I don't know if it was pulled, but I hope so. I did look at the audits, the resolution, the supporting documentation from this, and it has a list of stuff. I just couldn't make A and Z exactly what the actual cost would be to implement this boiler. And I'm not sure if those costs were still referring to the amount to the bond. Going on, in regards to 21092, I'm not sure if that's consent. My question is there a benefit for this, the renewal of this MOU with the United States Marshals and the City of Trenton? I know they stepped it up when it was addressed that we have people that need to be, there was persons that were committing various criminal acts and they weren't being arrested and left on the street, and they picked it up. So I'm not sure. My question is, how going forward do we, benefit from these shared arrangements? the 21094, I agree, because my question is, if I recall, I think if there's some changes with the investment, the bank that, or the financial institution in regards to deposits or investments, then you would put a resolution for changes. I'm not sure why this 21094 is brought forth. What was the change? What came about? I did read the supporting resolution. I didn't see anything. Regards to 21095, again, we're paying somebody $200-something thousand. If you're testing that soil, all you got to do is their kits. Same thing what you're paying this company to do. DEP does this work. Why aren't we using the state shared services when it comes down to environmental issues or contamination or remediation? I just don't understand. It's not that, doesn't cost us that much. So we already pay for those services that DEP provides. All of us do. So I just don't know why we're paying a private contractor. Again, we're not using services that would, we're paying for the same thing, but you get it through DEP. Contract with, again, I can't say anymore. I'm glad the council did catch that with 21098 and 099. And just as Attorney Bridges stated, he will sit down with Mr. Auditory and work that out. That's great. 21100, again, that's being amended. But my thing is, a lot of these resolutions, they keep saying they're amendments, but there's not enough detail when these resolutions come before the council. And what we're hearing from the administration, when these resolutions are questioned, are not written, it's not explained. And I'm not saying it has to be it has to be a little summary of how this resolution is coming about, and these more supporting documentations to support, especially when you're renewing a contract. And it doesn't give you enough, because, if this contract was last year, I'm at these city council meetings. I try to be at these city council meetings. Who's going to remember what was in that contract? So it's a thing of attaching the original contract or whatever change orders with these resolutions so council can brief through these, and it should be a quick yay or nay. And I just don't think there's enough supporting documentation, a summary of intent. And the intent seems to be always explained. It's never written. So that's all I have to say. I yield my time. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody else wish to be recognized by the Trenton City Council? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second call for the public portion on docket items only. Does anybody on the phones, any phone line, wish to be recognized for public portion? If you are muted, *6 to unmute yourself on the phones, or look for the little Microsoft Teams microphone to unmute yourself. Do I have a motion from council to close public portion?
So move.
I have a motion by Council Vice
Second.
President Wilson. I have a second by Mr. Harrison. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So ordered. Public portion is closed. Council President, next is civic comment.
Councilwoman Vaughn.
Yes, I just want to go over a couple of projects that I wanted to work on, and certain issues that I wanted the administration to address, and know that I'm advocating for prompt and immediate resolution of them. So regarding that tort claim raised by, I believe the person is a city commissioner at the parking authority who raised that tort claim. And, it's sad that one of our revenue generating entities, like the Trenton Parking Authority, has been, there's no transparency into it, and it has been, in my opinion, mismanaged. I haven't seen any financials from that authority in quite some time, but I did do some research that the Trenton Parking Authority, it's one of our utilities, and it was established
at the risk of getting backlash.
It was established in 1948 by ordinance. Okay, it was established in 1948 by ordinance, and I will be asking the law department. I did have that ordinance pulled, and I also read through the parking authority law, and there's a section there called termination of authority, and I will be researching and putting a resolution together for consideration by the council, because it is the municipal council that created the parking authority in 1948, and it's the municipal council per the parking authority law that can terminate the authority by merely submitting a certificate requesting the termination of the existence of the authority, and that certificate and that request should be filed with the clerk of the municipality or county that created such authority. So, I will be investigating on how we can return our authority back to the governance of the council of the governing entity that actually created the authority. And that's all I have to say about that for now. And also, is Adam Cruz available? Mr. Cruz?
Yes, I am here.
So I have been abreast, I have been informed that there has been many sexual harassment complaints put forward, and I say many, by women that work in the city of Trenton, that they have been harassed on the job, and retaliation has ensued, and I just want to know what the city is doing about it, and you as the business administrator specifically, because in the light of women around the world and in this country, we have a huge case up in New York that's unfolding with the governor there, and we don't want this type of activity in our city. So I want to know what is going on with these cases that women have filed. I personally, in this council, has passed ordinances last year and amended such policies around sexual harassment in the workplace, harassment, retaliation, and the invoking the SEPA Act, the Conscientious Employee Protection Act, so that there isn't any retaliation and women aren't fired and demoted and berated because they raised a complaint on against certain individuals. We, in that ordinance, we have zero tolerance for sexual harassment. And any individual who has been accused of it needs to be held accountable. And it should not take months and months for it to be investigated. Okay? The victim should not be sitting anywhere in the city waiting for human resources, the law department, to address their complaint. I will not tolerate it, and I suggest that you start explaining to the public and to the council without, identify any of the victims or any of the complaints, that you reassure me and this council and the public that the city of Trenton has zero tolerance for sexual harassment in the workplace. Mr. Cruz?
Councilwoman, if I could pinch hit on that for Mr. Cruz, because I think
I didn't ask you. I asked Mr. Cruz, the business.
I'm sorry, but we handled it, so I was just trying to offer my information I have for you. You are absolutely correct. There is.
No. Again, I asked the business administrator. I didn't ask you, Mr. Bridges. The business administrator by law oversees all the departments of the city of Trenton, including human resources. So I want to know what his knowledge is of these claims and what the city has done to protect these women. Mr. Cruz.
Madam President?
Yes, Mr. Cruz.
Yes, Madam President, all that I'm going to say regarding Councilwoman Vaughn's is that any and all claims are taken very seriously and are investigated very seriously. We take every claim seriously. We don't care who makes a complaint. We take it very serious. As far as the various or who, I am not going to get into it. It's a legal matter, and it's a personnel matter as well. So we cannot get into the the hows and whats and what actions are being taken. But we take the matter very seriously and are thoroughly investigated, and we also do it with outside law firms so that there is no conflict of interest or anybody sees as favoritism towards anyone.
Well, again, it's an ordinance, it's a law, right? That we have zero tolerance for this type of activity in our city. And we will not, and I want to see for each case, if we have to have an executive session, and I have to call to order an executive session to review each case, and I want to know the outcomes. And I want to know what remediation has taken place, whether the individual who's accused was found innocent, because we also have a clause in the ordinance that if the victim or the individual filing a claim has lied or submitted a claim fraudulently, then they also have to be punished. But no way, shape, or form, no way should a claim not have an outcome. And there's no way that a decision should be reached, whether of guilt or innocent. And whoever has been deemed the guilty party needs to be immediately terminated. Now, and that's what the ordinance says. And that's where our country is with this type of activity. And you're not going to gloss over it. You're not going to give individuals a pass. You're not going to turn a blind eye. We want it promptly addressed. Women have the right to come into work and feel safe and protected, and that they are not being retaliated against, their income is not impacted, and that they have to have trust that their employer has their well-being and best interest at hand. Now, so I want to know the next couple weeks, the outcomes of every case, and I do know them. I will send the email of the individual's names to the law director, and I want to know what decisions have been made and what the outcome of the final investigations were, and what determinations have been made in regard to the victim or the complaint, the plaintiff, and the person who was accused. Okay? So that's what I want, Mr. Cruz. And Mr. Bridges, you've heard me.
I thought we were
I will be calling to executive session, and I will make sure that the victims come to council in those sessions to express how and to share with us whether or not their claim has been properly addressed and that they feel safe in the workplace. Okay? Thank you. And I want to also talk about, very quickly, housing inspections. Is Mr. Delisle on the line? Very quickly. Mr. Delisle, I'm getting a lot of complaints, and particularly one on Adeline Avenue, that we have homeowners not adhering to our city ordinances around zoning. Folks are doing the DIY with do-it-yourself rehabilitations on particular properties in the city. And they are working on these properties outside the time frame or the window that has been deemed legal, right? So if folks are not compliant with the ordinances, I believe you only can work and do construction on your home or your investment property between certain hours. So can you explain why is it that the housing inspection officers are giving certain residences a pass around these permits and COs? I mean, what I'm hearing is it's just terrible, and I want to know what you're doing about it, Mr. Delisle.
Council President, should I respond or?
You can if you like, Mr. Director.
Thank you. Councilwoman Vaughn, you added a lot of different things there. With regard to hours, the city ordinance is 10 p.m. So there's no different hours of activity for construction. We follow the noise ordinance, and those would be enforced by the police. So people can do work until 10 p.m. With regard to do-it-yourself type activities, there are certainly a number of activities that do not require permits, such as painting or decorating or sanding your floors or something like that. So you'd have to be more specific with the activities involved. But we take certainly any complaints serious, and we investigate them to the best of our ability. So if you care to share, not now but later, specific instances or addresses, be happy to have the building department look into them for you.
Okay, well, it's very interesting that you say that. I have to reference the ordinance again, but I thought the city of Trenton, as far as noise ordinance is concerned, and as you said, the construction activity falls under that as well. I thought we followed what they call the leaf blower law, so to speak, right? So you're not allowed in most municipalities to start any type of construction work or start up your lawnmower or leaf blower before 8 o'clock a.m., waking up the whole neighborhood. Now, we don't have that a timeline. We go to 10 o'clock that people can, have these machines running and banging and hammering up until 10 p.m. I mean, if that's the case, I'm going to have to amend that ordinance because that doesn't seem right to me. Can you confirm that, Mr. Delisle or Mr. Bridges? Can you tell us what the noise ordinance states? I mean, you don't have to do it tonight.
I'm happy to tell you. I can't give it to you right now, but I'm happy to pull that and send it to you. I just don't have it in front of me.
If it doesn't comply with what most municipalities have, I wouldn't want anybody waking me up at 8 a.m. with their leaf blower or any type of hammering or banging or chainsaw or whatever. Okay, so I know that commercial vehicles aren't allowed to be on the street after 6 p.m. Right? So they have to take them back to the garage and park them where they park, but they can't be on the street after business hours. So I want to know, and if we need to amend that to align with other municipalities, we need to do it immediately because we can't have people just think they can come in here and do construction anytime they want and disturbing the peace. Thank you. That's all I have, Council President.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez.
Oh, yes. A question for Mr. Bridges. I have been waiting for me and Councilman Joe Harrison. We requested an amendment to be done to the dumping ordinance, and that was probably about 6-7 months ago. And we have not received any of that. When is that going to be done?
I was not here 6-7 months ago, but I spoke with one of my attorneys in the department and was told that that a memo was circulated to you with respect to the dumping fines as well as the other issues that were on the request for legal counsel. That memo was circulated to you. I'm happy to circulate to you again, Councilman Rodriguez.
Yes, because I never
Yeah,
received.
Councilman, it was while you were out of the country. It was actually while you went away, so it was sent, but I'll send you another copy of it. It did come in.
Yeah, but my email was still here.
Yeah, no, you should have received it in there. I don't know why. I did forward it, but I'll make sure another copy of that memo is forwarded.
Yeah, but is the amendment going to be written?
The memo stated that the current fines that are in the city of Trenton's ordinances are the maximum allowed by
The
state.
maximum state. Okay.
Yes, and Councilman Rodriguez, and I'm new to the dance here, not getting a little longer in the tooth, but you also had another inquiry that is not the topic of your question. That too was addressed with respect to...
That one, I was not sponsoring that. That was somebody else. They put my name.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You were on there, so I just wanted to make sure
You could take my name out of that one. That was really, it didn't come from me. It came from somebody else.
I got you. I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Could you mute the?
I'm catching up with them, Council President. Thank you.
Councilman Michelle?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, two things. One is the ordinance for vehicles, commercial vehicles, is from 8 to 6 for being parked on the street. And the other thing is on 21099, we're spending a lot of money on paying for snow removal, when if we put that money to use and we turned around and bought vehicles with that money, and if they need a commercial license to drive them, my understanding is street department has 6 men to drive the snow vehicles and to put sand down. 6 men for the whole city of Trenton. So with that money spent, we could buy like 6 vehicles and have them fitted for snow removal and teach our men, let them get the overtime instead of spending all this money out, just a waste of money. I never seen a vehicle down in the South Ward. I'm the one that plowed in the South Ward. I didn't see vehicles out there doing it out there. But we could have 6 extra vehicles for the money we're spending for snow removal is totally insane. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Harrison?
Yeah, the vehicle orders is 16-34, like Mr. Michelle was saying. And at the end of the day, I said, I understand everybody's concerned. I wish we could have had more concern about, like I said, addressing other things that comes up with the community. So hopefully Thursday night will go smooth. All right. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Wilson?
Yes. I have Mr. Cruz, I have a question for you. On Clegg Avenue, there's no trucks allowed to go down Clegg Avenue, and it seems I sent a picture to the mayor of a semi coming down Clegg Avenue. We need to, we really need to enforce that law, make those signs bigger or whatever. But I would like Anthony Santoro to look into it, or someone, to stop those trucks coming down Clegg Avenue. They're ruining those homes, the foundations of those homes.
Madam Vice President, I can definitely meet with Mr. Santora and as well as the police department to discuss possible enforcement.
And I'll send you, I have a picture of the vehicle. Someone took a picture of one of the vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Blakely?
No comment.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for joining us this evening. Your opinion matters, and we look forward to seeing you again on Thursday. On Thursday, I would like for Mr. Cruz to be able to tell us about the State Police Crime Center and where we're at with that. if Business Direct Administrator Cruz can talk about that on Thursday, and Director Foley could give us updated information on that. I thank you all again, and I will make the motion to adjourn for this evening.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Vaughn. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
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 There's the last one. Any opposed? So ordered. We are adjourned at 6:54 p.m. Everybody get home safe. We'll see you on Thursday. If anybody needs to be added to the agenda distribution list, please send me an email at clerk@trentonnj.org. And you can find the docket, which is already posted already at eCode 360 for Thursday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bridges?
Vaughn, I don't know what to do with all my free time this afternoon now. I had the whole night planned out. You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, too bad.
Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Be well. Everybody get home safe if you're not already there. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Good night. Good night.
Is that one time?